10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody. Midlife Vices, episode 5. Thanks for watching. You may notice we got something a little different going on right here. Look at that all froze up.
Ha
Nice.
That's a great Pee Wee Herman.
That was good. We have our special guest here tonight, Brian Lasseter, Thanos. You may know him as on Twitter and wherever else he may be on social media. Good to have you here, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
And how you doing tonight, Jim?
I am doing fantastic.
Awesome. So we thought we'd do something a little bit different tonight. We're going to get into a little bit of comic books. We do more than just TV shows, our favorite TV shows, so we want to get back into comics. That's Midlife Vices, not Midlife Vice. So we got to talk about more than just TV. But we will get to that here in a little bit. So what you been up to this week, Jim?
I finally watched the second episode of The Rings of Power. That was pretty fantastic. I like when they get into the dwarven stuff. I don't think I've done anything else. I started reading Jeff Lemire's Animal Man.
How's that going?
Good. 2 whole issues in and didn't get an issue in today. So
No.
I'm enjoying it, though.
Awesome.
That's about it as far as books and TV.
Yeah, same for me. We watched. We haven't watched the most recent episode of Rings of Power. We just watched the House of the Dragon last night, the most recent episode. You watch any of those shows, Brian?
I'm watching Rings of Power. I'm watching House of the Dragon. I'm actually really disappointed with GOT at this point.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the time jump.
Yeah, the change of characters was the change of the actors was a pretty big one.
It was very significant, and I felt as if it's a detriment to do that large of a time jump without any sort of precursor.
Right. Well, it's the second time jump they've done, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah. So they did 2 time jumps in the new
2 time
series.
jumps in a new series.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a prequel, so you
know
where it's going, but just the fact that the initial cast, especially the ones that they time jumped, the girls specifically, Alicent and Rhaenyra, are just so fantastic. They were such good actresses,
right.
And now after the time jump, it's 2 completely different women. And
I didn't even notice that the queen was different. Until about halfway through, and me and the wife were watching with Rhaenyra, and we're like, "Is that the same actress?" No, and then she was like, "Yeah, I think it is." And finally, we were like, "No, definitely, it's not." But apparently, she looked it up, and that was a plan from the beginning. The actors were
it was
when they came in.
It was that even the trailer showed it as that,
right.
But it's just one of those sticker shock.
Sure.
And the way the episode started was extreme sticker shock because you see, Rhaenyra in such vulnerability.
Sure.
So, but I'm very, very much enjoying Rings of Power. But I also got to watch the first 2 episodes in the theater.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
That's awesome.
It was just absolutely incredible.
Oh.
If they could do that for the whole series, if they could have, 2 episodes at a time, I would skip watching 2 weeks at a time and pay ticket prices just to go in and watch it in that fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Really good. Really good. Amazon's killing it right now.
Right. Yep. And I watched Dahmer.
What's that?
Oh, my wife's interested in Dahmer. I'm not so interested, but my wife is interested. She likes all that.
It's hard to follow.
Yeah.
Especially at the very beginning. Once you get towards the end episodes, it's much easier to follow. But at the very beginning, they do a lot of time jumps. And you have no idea because the same guy, Quicksilver, at least that's what I want to call him, he's Dahmer in all the time periods that are important. So it's like, wait, didn't we just see something happen? Like, how are we back here? And it's like 10 years in the past or 5 years in the future. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I binge watched the whole thing over the weekend. Cool. Just to get it out, just to get it done.
Nice. But yeah, nothing else much. A couple more episodes of How I Met Your Mother. Enjoying that a lot. And that's
Have you
really
got to
about it.
the
Oh, we watched a new
pineapple?
one. I can't even remember the name of it now, but it has Matthew Fox, and it's on Hulu? No, it's not Hulu. It's on one of the streaming services. It's a mini series about all the fuel in the world getting contaminated, and then it goes to kind of a post-apocalyptic type stuff, and he's trying to make his way back to his family. But it's pretty cool too. So
Is that Revolution?
no,
Okay.
no.
You know,
think of-
Ghost is coming back
Ghost is coming back this week.
this week. Yeah,
Yes.
looking forward to. I enjoy that show.
Yeah. That's a
I'm
fun
looking
one.
forward to Rookie coming back.
The Feds one.
The Nathan Fillion one.
Okay, yeah, because I see there's a new one coming out for Feds too.
Yeah. That's
I
a
haven't seen
spin-off.
that one yet.
Right.
But yeah, I like Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much, you have to like him if you like any of his characters.
Right.
Yeah, because they're all
just
the same.
Yeah, they're all the same.
So many shows right now with the new season starting on all the networks and then all the stuff that's on streaming. It's just, I'm glad I have no job and no life because I'd be way behind.
I think Ghost is the only live show I watch. The only show network
The only
show.
network show. Yeah.
We have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime. So if it doesn't come on one of those,
Right.
we have HBO Max too. But yeah,
Right.
if it doesn't come on one of those, I'll wait for it to come on one of those.
Right.
Pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, that is our. We don't have nothing else too exciting that's happening.
Not that I can think of.
Awesome.
Of course, I'm probably forgetting something.
You probably are. I probably am. Oh, well. So what we're going to do, we thought we would do something a little different tonight. We brought Brian on to talk about his favorite character, and you can see by his screen name right there. And pretty much everybody online calls him Thanos. I don't know if too many people actually know him as Brian. I mean, you've seen his name, but we all call you Thanos.
It's hard when I use it for like Chick-fil-A drive-through and when I go in places and wait lists. Oh, it's amazing. They actually know me as that. There's one of the guys that work the Chick-fil-A drive-through. I drive up and he's like, "What's up, Thanos?"
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't even know I had a cat in the room.
Yeah, I saw that walking behind you. Actually, I thought it was my dog walking behind me, and then I realized it was your screen. So tonight is going to be a spotlight on Thanos. So I'll start off here just with a quick question for you, Brian. And I'm sure that Jim probably has a similar question, but he won't have to ask it. That cat is right on the arm of your chair. Nice. That'll actually get more views.
I'm going to let that thing out.
Jim, if it does something, if it does something stupid, this thing will go viral.
Yeah, about to knock your books over, and he's going to have a heart attack.
It would have been perfect if the cat scratched his face right there, like
cat scratch fever. Bow, bow, bow.
Yeah. Jim, you just lost us a chance at a viral video.
I actually saw them let the cat in on purpose.
Yeah, we can do other stuff to make it go viral, I guess.
So the first simple question for you, what got you into Thanos as a character?
Well, to be fair, one of the first two comic books that I bought as a child was this one.
Oh, that's nice.
The nice Infinity Gauntlet #1.
Of course.
And yeah, I mean, it's just he has one goal and one goal in mind, which the MCU got completely off on. Like their version of Thanos is not correct. They did it because there is no death personified in the MCU at this point.
Right.
Spoiler alert, She-Hulk might get to Mephisto at some point, but they haven't gotten there yet. So deities, are not really at that point outside of.
Let me interrupt you just real quick. I love the mention of Mephisto because wasn't that the whole theory of what show was it? Oh, WandaVision. Like the whole time was the
WandaVision. They were hoping, but
the never in there.
Theory.
No, so the goat reference and demon reference and everything from from She-Hulk kind of leads to a little more of that possibility or plausibility.
Right.
And he has his own fire and brimstone realm, so it's doable.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, he is infatuated with death. His one goal in mind is to bend her to his will. Not literally, he wants her to do it willingly.
Sure.
But in the end, he does it by force, and she ends up turning on him, which is how he loses everything.
Right.
So that just, I don't know, just kind of caught my eye. This dude, like, literally did the unthinkable and brought together the most powerful items in all of creation for one purpose. And it wasn't to kill everyone. It wasn't to destroy everything. It was to make the one deity that he would never have, which is he would never die. And now he can't, because he's not allowed in death's realm. So he's at a point where he can't die again. But his sole purpose was just to make her love him. So it just a cool aspect.
So this kind of answers one of my questions I had for you is do you prefer that version, the comic version, or the MCU version? Obviously the comic version.
Oh yeah, comic version is where it's at. Like, especially George Perez era. Thanos is by far that age of Thanos, just that late 90s, mid or early to late 90s, that era is where he was really coming out. Because before really 91, he was essentially a nobody. Like, you know, his first appearance in Iron Man 55 was okay, yeah, whatever. Most of them were there. It wasn't a big thing, and then he just like came out swinging on the scene, and this whole Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, they did all of that, and ever since it's like, hey, everybody knows who he is.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
I had read somewhere that he started off as a skinny guy, and then he just kept drawing him bigger and bigger.
He started off as a will-o-wisp. It's just a shiny little ball of light, and Roy Thomas was friends with Jim Starlin, and he's like, no, dude, like, you can't make this big villain that you're creating this little tiny wispy thing. Like, you need to make him a little more foreboding, a little more of a beast. And he did that. So the first iteration of him was literally a copy of Darkseid. Like,
right.
Literally,
was that on purpose?
Like him. Yes. Yeah, and he did, because he was working on DC at one point and came over to Marvel, and brought that with him. And was like, let's make him look like that. And he literally just flopped it around. And when he presented it to Marvel, Marvel's like, yeah, we can't do that. Like, that's a little too close to us getting slapped. Right. So they made him change it. And what he became in Iron Man 55 is what we saw. And then he's evolved into what he is now.
Sure. Cool. So I haven't read a whole lot of Thanos, but I think the place where I've actually seen most of the story is in Deadpool versus Thanos, which is a really good book.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good series.
And they're, I'm sure you haven't read it, Jim. If I remember right, they're basically fighting over death, right? Like, Deadpool wants death. Thanos is fighting. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So Deadpool's always wanted to die.
Right.
Because he can't die, because his healing factor is so fast, he can't die. And like, it's miserable for him, like, to be that ugly of a person and that ugly of a creature, and knowing that he's going to be here forever. So yeah, like, that's one of the big things, is that he's not okay with that. And Thanos doesn't want him to have anything to do with it, because he's afraid that that'll take the attention away from him.
Cool.
So I read somewhere today that Thanos had started a family and then killed them for Lady Death. Tell me about that.
I don't know. I don't know that one. If so, if that's in the storyline, I haven't read that one yet. I don't admit to have read all of them.
And I've read none of them. So this was a list on top 14 things Thanos did or something like that I found.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me because his infatuation is that high that he would be willing to do almost anything to impress her.
So he also bombed his home planet and killed his mother.
Yep. But his mother also wanted to kill him as soon as he was born.
Yeah, because he looked like the enemy
deviant.
race or something.
He looked like a deviant.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my question is, why do you like him? I sent Steve like a list of 5 questions, and they were all like, so Thanos did this. Why do you like him? Thanos did this. Why do you like him?
It's just that one of those that he's just that big of a persona. Like
and it's not real, so it's okay to like
that.
Well,
exactly. Like the whole idea that if he was a real thing, then half of us would be dead. Or all of us if that was the case. I mean,
but like with most villains, right? He thinks his intentions, he thinks his methods are right, are just.
See,
correct.
And that's why just reading about, like I said, I haven't read any comics. I lean toward the MCU Thanos because it makes sense to me, at least what he's trying to do.
So the MCU side, he could also have doubled everything except for people.
That's
made all the food in the planets.
That never entered my mind.
Yeah, So
and I don't admit to watching all the MCU movies. So
I've watched all of them.
I've watched maybe half of them.
Yeah. So
and of those half, you only watch half of those. So
yeah, I sleep so easily
because you fall asleep.
Oh, so easily during a movie.
Wow, you sound like my ex-wife.
What's that?
I said you sound like my ex-wife.
Your ex-wife.
Fall asleep during everything. Yeah. I don't know if that's so much about her or about you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up for the audience to decide.
So you mentioned before that you are trying to collect as many Thanos appearances as possible, and you're how far along?
A little over halfway.
A little over halfway.
There is 670. Come on.
Okay, so where are you getting this master list?
I created it. 672.
And you're like 100% sure you haven't missed any, or so like there's a Booster Gold website that has every appearance, every cover, every.
So I'm not the only one.
I imagine not. But.
So there's a good friend of mine on the CGC boards that he was actually working on a full 9/8 set of all the appearances of Thanos. Mm-hmm. And when I started on this list, he found out and he was like, "Hey, so do you want to go through my list and see if we match?" I'm like, "Sure." So I went through my list and his list and kind of, if there was holes in mine, if there was holes in his, lined them up, and we kind of went to an agreeable, okay, yes, this is, no, this isn't, no, this is, yes, this is, kind of down the line.
Nice.
And Marvel fandom, the Marvel wiki side, their list actually stays fairly accurate as for some of it. They're still way off. I mean, they only have, I think, 378, I think is what they list, 380 in that range. And yeah, I mean, I've got a whole lot more than that on this list.
Yeah, so you're going every appearance, every little drawing, if he's in the background.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
The only thing that I don't count is mentions. So if somebody says his name, if it's written somewhere, if it's an ad doesn't count to me. It's got to be in the story. It has to be him. You have to know it's him. So there was one book where there's like a shadow down on the ground, like it's like showing somebody like a fight in the background, and you see the two people as their shadows in the fight, and supposedly one of the shadows is him. I didn't count that, and the buddy on the other side, he did, but I'm like, nah, that's not me. You can't tell that it's him. Like it's not like there's one hand with a infinity gauntlet on it that you see obviously, and the rest of them is just a shadowy body. It's literally just shadows, and that's it. So and I've verified all of these.
I have another question for you about this, because I find this fascinating. How many of those that you have left are like key issues that are going to run you a ton of money?
Honestly, not that many.
Nice.
There's a few from Donny Cates's run from Thanos Wins that are going to be more than cover price $10 range, but the majority of these I've got the big dollar ones. I've got his first 30, 35 in the run. I've got the whole Infinity Gauntlet series, which are the big ones. I've got first Cosmic Ghost Rider. I've got like 13 or 14 and 15 as well in that run. So I've got the majority of those that are the big dollar money items.
Now, do you have to find them in person, or do you buy online as well?
A lot of them I've bought online. Yeah, when I started this, I actually started buying them from getting what I could on eBay, finding stuff that was cheap enough. Grade is not important to me. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I have to have a 9.8. Like, on the modern books, it would be nice, but not as much. With the older stuff, it's older. Nice. Like, it is what it is. It's just nice to have. At one point, I was actually trying to catalog all the UK appearances as well that are UK specific. Oh. And I've got a whole bunch of those, but they're hard to catalog because there's nobody that actually has anywhere that says this is what's in each one of these books, because they're unique.
Does he show up with Captain Britain and stuff at all? You mentioned UK. Does he show up in any of that stuff?
No. So there isn't book specific in that range. It's right. It's an odd version. I should have probably grabbed one. I didn't even think about it. But it'll be like they're like this big.
Right.
And in the center will be like this gorgeous double panel image of a character, and there'll just be a random story in there. And it's not a story that's in the US.
Gotcha.
And they're weekly or monthly comics. A lot of times they're weekly.
Right.
And finding out what's in the weeklies is really, really hard.
Right.
So, and Marvel fandom doesn't count those. There's nothing in the US side that gives you an idea of what's in those books. And there's nothing that really calculated what was in those books over in the UK that I found either. So yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I wish I could be that dedicated to one thing. Like, I always have in my mind, hey, I can do this, and then I get 10 items in, and then it's like, well, time to move on to something else.
Kind of like the show. We're going to get five episodes in, and we're done.
Well, the way the viewers are going, right?
At least the best episodes last.
That's right.
Very nice.
Fine.
Well played.
And
we're done.
Yeah, it took me about 2 years to make this spreadsheet, to be honest.
Right.
Of hardcore trying to find them, because everything that I checked was all digital. Like, I had to find digital copies of these books, and it's one of those where I downloaded them with the idea that I'm going to own them. So
yeah,
it might be frowned upon, but I did what I needed to do to verify, because I wasn't going to get one of the older books, and there were some that my buddy had in 9.8 that didn't have Thanos in it, and he had made sure he had a 9.8 copy, and I wasn't going to go through that. So there's that possibility.
Sure.
But there's also some that he found that he had that I didn't know he was in, which was fantastic for me. I'm like, hey, this is great. Let me go see if he's actually in there, and then I find out he is. So
is it really fantastic, or sometimes ignorance bliss?
Oh no! It makes me happy knowing that I found a book that I didn't know he was in.
Yeah, I'd be telling people not to sit. Don't tell me something.
Costing me money.
So to give you a good example of one that we found, or that it was figured out, he's on a cover of it's Miracle Man.
Miracle Man.
Yeah, Miracle Man is not it's an Eclipse comic, and it was something that Jim Starlin went to and did a few of, and it was number 4, and literally the cover, there's a little Thanos bust on a shelf, and all it is his head.
Oh, that's cool.
That's it. It's just a head of Thanos sitting on a shelf on a cover of a comic, and I was like, yep, gotta own that. It's from 85.
That's pretty awesome.
It was before, it was before Infinity Gauntlet. It was before any of the big stuff hit, and he just did it because he was done with all the rest. I mean, it was after, the death of Captain Marvel. It was, after Warlock. It was after Thanos was supposed to be dead.
Right.
So, like, Thanos was over. But then he came back with a quickness about 5 years later.
Yeah.
So
awesome. You got any more questions, Jim?
Not that don't end with, so why do you like him? So
why is the Mad Titan so mad?
Here, let me check. No, nothing more about Thanos anyway.
Cool. All right, well then let's go ahead and hear your top 10 Thanos appearances.
No, it's just appearance or storylines
or storylines or books or covers or whatever you did for your list.
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let me bust out my BCW Storefolio provided by BCW.
Hey, yes. If we had a code, we'd give it to you. You can spend 25% more than
Amazon. Yeah. Send us free stuff.
Well played, man. I appreciate that.
I thought you'd like that one. All right, so number 10. My number 10 for Thanos appearances is actually the most current of the entire list, like literally by far. So he's at 672 right now. This is his appearance 669. And this is Guinness Vale, Captain Marvel, number 1. Nice. And he's hidden in this book. And by hidden, I mean you go through the entire book, and on the last page, he is the entire last page.
Oh, that's cool.
And the book has you have no rhyme or reason that he's going to be in it. I wondered, because it was a Captain Marvel book, if he was going to be in it. I didn't pick it up on day of release because I was like, no, it's not going anywhere. I'm good. I'm not going to have to worry about it because it's, just a random, no name. Nobody knows who Guinness Vale is. So I didn't buy it the day of release. Came home. Of course, got the digital version to see if he's there because I wasn't going to waste my money first. Literally got to the last page and was like, holy crap. It's literally Thanos standing there, and he's like just stoic as can be, just sitting there, and his word bubble is, don't believe everything you hear. And it's just perfect to the way the story goes and end with the last page being him just standing there, just foreboding, standing over. And that's all he says to him. And I'm just like, dude, really? And my first thought was, I want that OA. Like, I want to buy that so badly. I looked up who the artist was. I reached out to the artist on Twitter. No response. Went to Instagram, followed him on Instagram. Like a full month goes by, and he shares the uncolored version of it on his Instagram. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, please tell me this is going to be available for sale. His response is, dude, it's digital, bro.
Basically saying steal it.
Literally, I was like, tell me how you break a man's heart without telling me how you break a man's heart. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is a 2-book whammy. And this one's special because this is how he got the Infinity Stones. It is Thanos Quest number 1 and 2. These are his appearances numbered 73 and 75. So pretty early on in the running for him.
So if that's 1 and 2, where was appearance 74?
So 74 is a different book because this came out and then that came out, and in between another book cut in between. I mean, if you want to know
don't
exactly
confuse you.
No, that's all right. Just go.
No, now you're going to know. 74 is Silver Surfer number 41.
Hippies.
See? So in this, it's all about him finding the stones, which all the stones are the same color at the beginning of this book. Right. They don't have their individual colors yet because before this, they were just all soul stones. the Infinity Stones didn't have multiple colors. They were all considered soul gems. There was also mentioned in here a 7th gem, which later on, the 7th gem does play a big part, which I think is actually going to be coming up here in the DC universe. I mean, Marvel universe, sorry. In the Marvel universe pretty soon, because there's a book coming out about Thanos' death, and a 7th stone is going to be in it, which everyone is calling the Death Stone.
Huh.
But before that, in the 90s, I believe it was the 90s, Marvel did a team up with Malibu for their Ultraverse comics, and they actually had the 7th stone in the Ultraverse, and it was called the Ego Stone. And the Ego Stone was the way that they worded it, or the way that they played this and spun this in the Ultraverse, because it never came over to Marvel. Marvel did not pull this storyline over to us or over to the Marvel side at all. Probably for good reason, because Ultraverse crashed and burned within, I think, 2 years of this story happening, because at the end of this story, it rebooted the entire Ultraverse. But the Ultraverse, with the stones, the Ego Stone allowed, or whoever was using it, their their mind was taken over by the persona of what the Infinity Stones were. So the 6 stones with the Ego Stone all together formed the original universe known as Nemesis, that was lonely and decided to destroy itself to make the 6 stones, and its own stone was banished to the Ultraverse.
Huh.
So it was a really bad storyline.
That's some deep stuff right there.
So that would be number 8.
Okay.
Number 9. Number 8 is not a Thanos story. It is What If Dark Reign, and it's what if the Green Goblin got the Infinity Gauntlet.
Huh. That's cool.
I do like that cover.
Yeah.
And it's all about Norman and how Norman's childhood and his adult life and everything affected him as he got older, and how the gauntlet essentially corrupts him and how he uses it to make his own world. Thanos is in it. He destroys Thanos. He kills him. He kills a bunch of the villains. He kills all the heroes. It's a really, really, really good read. This is one of the earlier Infinity Gauntlet type books that I bought for Thanos appearances. And I remember reading this and just kind of at the end going, wow. So I highly recommend this book. It's a really, really good read.
I might have to check that one out.
All right, so 7. Make sure I have these in order. Yep. 7 would be Silver Surfer number 34. This would be his resurrection. After everything that happened in the earlier books. Oh, and the Dark Reign is 464.
Okay.
This one is his resurrection after the earlier books, up to about 30 or so, 30, 35, when he died. And it was Avengers Annual, I do believe. So this is when he's resurrected. Silver Surfer actually is part of that. And it's just when he comes back. It's right before Infinity Gauntlet. It's before Thanos Quest. This isn't, but this whole storyline happens really before Thanos Quest.
Sure.
So this is number 76. And we're down to number 5. Nope, 6.
6.
You're new to these countdowns. It's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm also looking up, making sure that I'm at the right number. So making sure I have them in order too. So number 6 is Silver Surfer number 44. And this is important because this is the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet, which plays a big part in everything afterwards.
So is the gauntlet the only way to wield the stones?
It's the only way that he wields them.
Okay.
It's because it's made of the same material essentially as Mjolnir.
Okay.
So,
what's in his fist on that cover?
Silver Surfer, and I do believe Drax.
Green.
Yeah, the green is Drax. Green and purple is Drax. Right there is Drax. Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to remember that Drax, like in the TV or in the movies, he's after Thanos because of killing his wife and kids.
He was created to go after Thanos for the comic.
Yes.
I mean, that's why he was made. Right?
Yeah, yeah, because his first appearance is Iron Man 55. Yeah, he was made in the same one. It's the first appearance of Blood Brothers as well. Next is Warlock 15. This is the first mention that there is more than one Soul Stone.
Huh.
Before they became known as Infinity Gems.
Right. Cool.
Yep.
So do you think with sorry, we're looking at Warlock in the future of the MCU. Do you think there's any chance that Thanos comes back, or you think that's done?
Well, it depends on if they bring Death into the picture. If we see Mephisto, then the possibility of seeing Death, I think, is higher. If we do not see Mephisto, then I think it's pretty low. And Warlock coming in, I find it hard to have Warlock and not have Thanos.
Right.
Because they are yin and yang until after Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
Because then there's Infinity War, and then there's Warlock and the Infinity Watch. And Thanos is one of the Infinity Watch. So he's a keeper of one of the stones at that point, which there's been like 15 or 20 people that have held each one of the different stones for different reasons. So,
all right.
That's number 30, 24. This one's very special because this one's just goofy.
And now we're in the top 5, right?
Yep. No, this is number.
To do that.
Yeah, this is technically number 4.
Oh.
Warlock was number 5, so you missed it by 1, but that's okay.
That's right. Nobody will notice.
So this is
really PC Patrol might catch it, but that's it.
So this is Spidey Super Stories number 39, and this is the first appearance of the Thanos copter.
Thanos copter.
So if you watched Loki, when they're in the end of time,
right, and
they're getting ready to go down the hatch, when there's Throg is there, Throg,
right,
Throg is in the tube. Right before they go down the hatch and they're still out there on the ground, there's a helicopter. And the tail of the helicopter says Thanos.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Which is the same helicopter that's in this story. It's literally, in the book, he doesn't fly. He doesn't have his throne to fly around on or any of that. He's after the cosmic cube, essentially the Tesseract. And he flies around New York in a helicopter that says Thanos on the tail.
That's pretty cool.
And
I like that.
This
I want to see that Thanos.
Yeah, this is the appearance of that, which is his number 31 appearance. And now we're in the top 3.
Nice.
And number 3 is his first cover appearance. It is also the first full appearance of Death in relation to him. Death came before in the Marvel Universe, but the first one in relation to Thanos, this is her first full appearance, which is Captain Marvel number 26.
Plus, a half appearance of Death is injured.
Right.
Which you can see him right there.
Cool.
Kind of hiding up there on the top.
Nice.
Awesome.
And now at the top 2, which these 2 don't go in here. So, second, let's just put these away.
So organized.
Oh yeah, well, you got to be.
So Brian, your screen name Thanos. Oh, what's the 068?
Star Trek. 0.68 seconds.
Okay.
It's a lifetime for an android.
Okay. I was kind of curious about that. I was like, because I don't think you're older than us, but
that's Data's remark to Captain Picard when Captain Picard asked him if he was going to turn on humanity and join the Borg Queen. And he thought about it for 0.68 seconds.
Okay. Very nice.
Yep.
That's a nice piece of trivia there.
Yep. So number 2 might look very familiar.
Nice copy.
It's so small there.
It is my 9/8 double signed, one by Rubenstein and the other by George Perez. Rest in peace.
And that's only your number 2, man. Wow.
Yep. And I've had this since I got it off the shelf. And the same comic shop that I got this from is now across the street from where I got this. The owner's son is the one that runs it. And every time I go back home, I go by the shop. The owner's son knows me by name. The owner knows me by name. His wife knows me by name. The owner's son, the last time I was in there, had a pin for Infinity Gauntlet that says the end begins now, or it ends now, or something along those lines. The end begins here. There you go. It's like it says at the front. And I was like, dude, is that a magnet? And he's like, I don't know. Check it out. I was like, oh, it's a pin. I was like, dude, how much is the pin? He's like, dude, you can have it. Literally gave me a pin from 91.
Cool.
That's that all it is Mephisto, Death, Thanos, and the gauntlet with the rays, the shine from the ring. I mean the stones. So
that's cool to have a relationship like that with them too. I had one like
that.
I
mean,
it was a liquor store owner.
They're especially since they're 1,500 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now my number 1. Can you guess?
Actually, no, I can't because I would have picked your number 2 as your number 1.
I mean,
Hold on a second. Reshow it. Oh, yeah, it would be. Yeah, obviously. Duh.
First appearance. 55.
Nice.
You're off by 10.
I said 60, 65.
55.
55.
55.
Well, I've never been good with numbers. Math.
So,
it's kind of a recurring theme.
I've had this for about 2 years or so. I didn't own one before that. I wanted to own one, and it literally just, dude, they skyrocketed. 9/8 in this goes for about $25,000.
Yeah.
Or at least it did when I got this one. A shop that's around here called Collector's Crossroad has some nice wall books like this. They're like a random antique art and comic and card shop. But they're huge. Like it's literally like a size of like a mini Walmart. And this place is gigantic. And I walked in and I happened to be having dinner with a Walking Dead buddy of mine. And we were over that way and we went in and looked and I was like, dude, that's an Iron Man 55 sitting there. I was like, let me see that. They handed it down to me. I was like, man, this actually looks not too bad. I was like, it's definitely higher than what the price they had on it. I was like,
right.
So I asked them, I was like, how about if you take this much? And they were like, okay. I was like, all right, cool. And I had another appearance of his that I pulled out of their like $5 boxes, and they just threw that in for free.
Wow.
So I got some random Hulk issue that isn't really easy to find because it's not really a wanted Hulk book. It's got the gardener in it. And yeah, so I took it home and had it for a little bit. I sent it off to a CGC presser that's out in Florida. Guy named Joe. He goes by Joey Post. And I figured at best this was going to be a 4 or 5, maybe, and came back a 6. So
nice.
I made out like a bandit in comparison to what I paid. So
I'm sure that is awesome.
No one ever gets ripped off in comics.
Yeah, sure. Not ever. Especially if you buy it off Twitter or Instagram, right?
That's right.
It's kind of a running joke me and Steve have on Twitter. No one ever posts like, "Hey, I really overpaid for this book."
Everybody always says they got it for cheaper than they. Yeah, just a little joke. Thanks for sharing that list, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, those are some fantastic books.
All right, so
my favorite cover is the Green Goblin, but
the Green Goblin one's nice.
Yeah,
but no, you're gonna have a nicer cover that you're gonna want to like now.
Okay.
Why? What?
Because since I'm not doing the other top 10 books.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So that's by
Stray
Trisha
Dogs.
Bushner?
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. Trish and Tony both. So Trish did the outline and Tony did the shading.
That's just awesome.
And look really closely at the word dogs.
I don't see it.
There's a halo.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice book. And you know what that does for us? Oh, go ahead, Jim. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just, this was something me and Brian, when this book came out, me and Brian were talking about it in DMs or just in Twitter in general.
Probably just in Twitter in general.
Yeah. And so he had told me that he sent this off. And so I've been waiting to see this for a year.
It took 10.5 months to get out there, and I've had it back since early August.
Oh, well,
I got it back. It was almost a year.
Man, I'm not happy about that.
I put it up on Twitter.
Yeah,
you missed it.
I don't look at the timeline a whole lot anymore. I miss out so much stuff. I mean, there's
okay.
8 people.
Oh, that's awesome. And you know what that would be great for? Which segment that would be great for?
Oh, yes. Wow.
Well, after that, I can't.
That's right. So he showed me he showed us his. Now we have to show him ours. Oh, nice. Does it talk?
No, it's like, really tall though. I bought this at a Walmart out of the blue one night. It was on clearance. I've used it as a doorstop. Both my boys have wrestled with it. This has been the greatest toy I think I've ever bought. I've had it.
There's a couple
I've had
Darths.
it 9 years.
So did you hear? That's pretty awesome.
A pin holder?
It's a pin holder for my Darth Vader pin.
So did you guys hear the James Earl Jones?
Yeah, he retired.
He's a cop.
He retired, but they're going to use his voice for Darth Vader going forward in the future. Like he's authorized them to use his voice even after he's dead, like computer generated for Darth Vader.
Well, that's good.
How many
I would love.
Can they tell with him?
They can tell a million of them for all I care. Of course, but they didn't use his voice for Obi-Wan.
No.
A lot of that was actually Hayden Christensen.
They need to develop new villains in Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, I love Darth Vader and the whole story as much as the next guy, but the franchise isn't never going to go forward if you don't develop new villains.
So,
well, they're doing a good job of it with they did a good job of it with so far with Obi-Wan they did, and of course she's going to end up dying. So,
yeah,
right. So those were your Darth Vader for the show me yours. I'll show you mine. So I told Jim earlier I got something that I'm going to show that I'm happy about and upset about at the same time. So when I order stuff on Amazon, I don't always look at the complete description. I just look at the picture. So I ordered this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Monster Universe or whatever it's called. And it is there's a glare. It's the Frankenstein's monster. Well, I'm a Donatello fan. And if you look at the picture,
looks like it's Raph.
The mask on that is purple. But the box comes
and he's red.
And it's red. And it is obviously Raphael. And it says right on the box, Raphael as the Frankenstein's monster. Yet the figure has the purple mask on it, which is just weird to me. So weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
Maybe the blood's gone bad.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know the whole story. I don't know the whole monster universe thing on that or the story, but
so is this what the toys were for? Was the Show Me Yours?
yes, this is it.
All right, so that wasn't the mine.
Okay.
So that was just in response to him, because of course I have Thanos,
Nice.
and then the important one is God Doom.
God Doom. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Emperor Doom from Secret Wars.
Absolutely.
And do you know why it's important?
Why the figure's important?
Do you know what that is?
I can't really see it. No, can't see.
It's a skull with a spine.
Oh, I still don't know what it is.
ET's head?
No, it's Thanos.
That was actually going to be my guess, but looking at it.
Yeah, so in Secret Wars, he does something and Thanos is there, and Thanos is all cocky the way that he is, and Doom's response is he grabs him in the back of the neck and rips his spine and head out. And I bought this never realizing that part.
Oh, that's interesting.
And when you were talking about figures, I was like, I got my Thanos. I was like, I got God Doom. I was like, I can do God Doom too. And I went, oh God, God Doom has the skull, and that's Thanos too. Yes.
That's
Sometimes
cool.
it all just works out.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thanks for showing that. So that was.
Oh yes! Wow.
You show me yours, and I'll show you mine.
Wow.
I love that.
So that takes care of our spotlight. Next is this week's list for us. Thank you, Brian, for sharing all that stuff.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have contributed with any kind of insight or relevant questions.
Dude, just nod and be
like, I was just like, neat.
Our list for this week is our top 10 superheroes. Top 10 superheroes. Now, what's going to be fun with this is we got our wives to make lists of who they think our favorite superheroes are. So we're going to read their lists along with our actual list to see how well they know us. Now, Jim didn't quite get 10, but we'll start with him once he gets to number 6. Correct, Jim?
Yes. She gave up after 6 because she's like, well, I don't know any more that you like.
Right.
And then 2 of hers are pretty far off.
Sure.
Well, not far off, I guess, but
I guess I should pull up my list.
Anyway, that whole thing started with me making my list and her wanting me to put the Punisher on my list.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of the Punisher, even though I love his appearance in Civil War.
Right. So, that's my favorite appearance.
Yeah, it's easily the best thing I've read of the Punisher.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with my number 10. And Brian, I don't know if you want to play along with this and list yours along with it, or if you want to just make it up as you go, or how you want to do it. But I'm going to start with my number 10. And my wife's pick for my number 10 was Black Panther. He is not in my top 10. My number 10 is Green Arrow, Oliver Queen. Love the character. Been reading a couple of his stories lately and really enjoying the discount version of Bruce Wayne a lot.
Nice. So I'm going to throw another disclaimer. Mine aren't all major characters, not a whole lot of appearances for some of them. It's just characters that I've really loved.
That's what the point of the list.
My number 10 is Barr from Saga. He's Marcos's father, and he's not going to make it far into the series because he comes in saying he's going to die, and it's just about his love for his newfound granddaughter, and I just love the character.
Cool. I also just want to point out these are actually the comic book versions that are on my list, not the movie versions. So, but if you have the movie version going forward, that's fine too.
I have one movie version.
That's fine.
Okay. Thanos, you got anything?
Did you mute?
Yeah, because I didn't want to be coughing in your ear.
Oh, gotcha.
I literally said that if I take myself off mute.
Ah.
So my number 10 would be the Governor from Walking Dead.
Nice.
Because I'm doing villain top 10 instead of superhero just to be different.
Oh,
No,
I
he's
have
good.
a villain on mine.
Yeah, he's good.
A villain I don't
Governor,
even read, but I like.
I think the Governor, Negan may be higher in your list. I don't know, but the Governor, for me, is definitely up there with Negan, maybe even ahead of him in some aspects. But we'll get. I love the Governor a lot, and I love what Michonne does to him.
Yep.
More so in the book than in the.
Oh man, the book is. Have you seen it in color?
No.
Oh yeah, you need to check out that issue in color.
It's available.
So my number 9, or my wife's number 9 for me, is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is not in my top 10. However, my number 9 is Spawn. I've only gotten into Spawn probably in the last year. Good stories. I did go all in. I went in pretty quick on that stuff and kind of backed off quite a bit, slowed down with it, but love the character. Thing I like about Spawn, the covers, the way he looks, and just, his character is has a lot of different tones to him that I really enjoy. So that's my number 9.
My number 9 is a relatively new character to me, but it's Christopher Chance, the Human Target. Really enjoying Tom King's run on that, even though I stopped halfway through and I'm waiting for the hardcover for the second half.
My book shipped today.
I really enjoyed that character. He maybe it's the Norse style. I don't know but I'm finding him fascinating, and I kind of wish I would have kept buying the floppy for that.
Cool.
So my number 9 would be Sabertooth.
Sabertooth. Nice.
And the reason for that is the other comic that was the first one that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know which one I actually bought first, if it was this one or Infinity Gauntlet, which I'm fairly certain it was Infinity Gauntlet, because by the release dates, Infinity Gauntlet came out first.
And you don't want to have to buy every appearance of Sabertooth, right?
Sabertooth, I don't know if he's been in more than Thanos at this point, because he's not as out there anymore, but he's probably been in a whole bunch. But it was Wolverine number 41. It's a cover that has Wolverine and Sabertooth fighting in a sewer, and Cable's like in the sewer up above, like on a ledge, like training his gun down or holding his gun up, looking down at him or something. I don't remember the exact cover the way it looks,
nice.
But
Cool.
I remember my dad giving me some money and saying, "Here, go buy something." We were out. He was working, and I wanted a comic. He was like, "Here, go ahead." And I actually bought it from a card shop in a mall,
Nice.
like Hallmark card shop.
Right.
Oh,
So
Nice.
interesting.
My wife's number 8 for me was Iron Man. Again, not in my top 10. I can see her list is definitely MCU oriented, for sure. But I think what she did, she went into the comic book room that I have and looked around at stuff I have on the wall, and was probably got some of the stuff from there too. But I like her choice. But my actual number 8 is Mac from Paper Girls. Man, she is just such a great character in the book. I mean, the TV show did a good job with her too, but the book is just great. Not usually a character I would find myself enjoying, but something about the way she was written. Just love her, and she jumped into my top 10 in a hurry.
I find that interesting because, that's not a character I would assume you would love.
No.
I liked her better in the TV series than I did in the book. I lean towards KJ in both of them, honestly, I think. So.
Right. Cool.
Okay, so my number 8 would be Agent 355, Y the Last Man. Just a badass woman.
Cool.
She's just awesome. I don't have a whole lot to say about that.
No problem.
If you haven't
Brian?
read Y the Last Man, I highly suggest it. I think it's pretty fantastic.
So my number 8 will be Violator
From Spawn.
from Spawn.
Cool. One thing to say about Violator.
Janice alert.
I will say it, unless he's played by John Leguizamo.
That movie, something else.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I've seen it, but it's since it came out.
Yeah. My wife's number 7 for me is Superman. Superman is not in my top 10. Kind of surprises me. I like Superman a lot, and he actually
Why not?
made...
Why isn't Superman your top 10?
But my actual number 7 is Daredevil. Oh man, so many good stories with Daredevil.
That's a great character.
Yeah.
But not his twin brother, right?
Matt or Mike.
Uh,
But yeah, a lot of good stories. The current story is great, but going all the way back, he's a really good character. From the original to the Frank Miller reboot, all of it. Love him all the way around.
The only thing I've read is the Zdarsky run,
Right.
and only the first hardcover. The second one should be coming out fairly soon.
Zdarsky's done a good job.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. This is new. You know, they did the renumbering. Is that a different whole story arc, or is it?
No, it starts after what was the miniseries?
Woman Without Fear.
No, the Marvel just did a series right before this came out. I can't think of the name of it, but it continues on from that. It was in between the last series and this series.
So it was after King in Black. It was the.
Yeah. It just happened like 2 months ago.
It was the Wilson Fisk one.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
It was the Kingpin one. I don't remember what it is either.
I can't remember the name of it. But, so he's my number 7.
I guess my main question will be, if I'm buying the hardcovers, will it continue in order?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no idea, Jim. No clue.
Oh, okay. So my number 7 would be Tommy Jeopard, Sweet Tooth.
He's a cool character.
Yes, particularly in the comic. No, I really enjoy him so far in the series as well. But the comic, yeah, he pretty good little redemption arc for him, and I don't want to spoil it for you because I know you haven't got to some pretty important parts in this comic.
Right.
So
Cool.
he's great. Let's put it that way.
You said Sweet Tooth, and all I could think of was the car racing game on PlayStation. I can't remember, but Sweet Tooth was the ice cream demented clown ice cream truck driver. You said Sweet Tooth.
Same guy.
That's just where it went. I was like, Sweet Tooth, huh? What? I was like, we're talking about games now?
Nice.
So,
Twisted Metal.
Have you read Sweet Tooth?
Nope.
No. Okay. Have you read Y the Last Man?
Nope.
Okay. So you stick mainly to the big two?
Oh no, I read a whole bunch of indie. I think
just pretty recently, or
within the last couple of years.
Okay.
So the LCS that I was going to closed in Austin, and they reopened in Sarasota. Right now they're closed in Sarasota because there's a impending Ian coming after them.
Right.
But yeah, so when they closed here, I pretty much just kind of pulled everything back and said, oh, well, I guess I'm just not going to get new books at this point. I'm just going to focus back on Thanos and go that route because there's a couple other shops that I could get them from around here. There's one that I get ratios from, but they don't get a whole lot of the indie stuff, and I don't want to do a pull list from them because a lot of it was I wasn't sure if I wanted it, and that was the good thing about the LCS that closed is they had a couch, like you could go in and just grab something off the shelf, read it. If you didn't like it, put it back.
Right.
Like their pull box, if they pulled it for you, if it wasn't something on your regular pull, they'd pull stuff and be like, yeah, I think this is something you'd like. They'd put it in the box, and I'd flip through and read it and be like, yeah, this is me. I'd buy it. If it wasn't, they'd take it back and put it on the shelf. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, that's nice.
But they're not here anymore, so that's all kind of gone by the wayside.
So you're number 6.
Number 7.
Number 7.
I'm trying to skip ahead. Look at you. Who's not good with the numbering system?
No, I'm the one bad at math.
We're both bad.
So number 7 would be Venom. When he's a villain.
Yeah, I wish they would go back to that.
Well, I like some of the newer stuff that they've written with him. I liked King in Black with him kind of being the anti-hero versus Null, but they're just so short. Like that's the one thing about some of the villains now is that they bring them out and they're like, hey, look, there's this cool new villain that we've built up to for so long, and then they're like, that's it.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? That's all you're doing? You built us up for that? And that's just the downside of now. So another reason why Thanos is good, because he's been around for 40 years.
He's inevitable.
Yep. He ain't going nowhere.
She was waiting to say that.
Actually, I wasn't. That just popped into my head. I'm pretty witty. My number 6, or my wife's number 6 for me is Wolverine. He is not in my top 10. Logan is not in my top 10. My number 6 is Batman. I like the character. I don't love the character as much as most of the people we know love the character, but it's one of the only 2 or 3 books that I buy all the time. I don't currently recently like what they did with this character, but I like it again more now. Ups and downs. It's not every story of his I like, but he's a solid character, so he's my number 6.
Nice. My number 6 is Magneto.
And what did your wife have for you?
Oh, that's right. My wife had Rorschach.
Oh,
another good one.
Yeah, I like him as much as the next guy. He's not my favorite Watchman, so.
Is the comedian your favorite Watchman?
No, mine would be Hollis. What's Hollis's last name? Mason. The first Nightwing.
Night Owl.
Night Owl. It's been a while since I've dipped my toes in the Watchmen. I really like the Minutemen in the Watchmen universe. I find them fascinating. I love that time period. I just think it's great.
But Magneto's your number 6.
But Magneto, yeah. I mean, his backstory.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have a better backstory than that in a comic. I don't think there's a more relatable villain out there.
Right. He's definitely one of those whose intentions are good, but misguided, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the method he goes about it is wrong, but his reasoning is correct. So there's a lot of those. Yeah. That's what makes a great villain, I think. Although it's nice to have a villain who just comes in and massacres people too for no reason. But Magneto's great for sure.
So question. Did you like him during his apocalypse or his what was he called? Not apocalypse. It was God, what was the name of that version of him when he was like the giant armor-bound version?
So, how much of him have I read? Very little. Okay. So, I know his backstory. You know. Well, from the MCU, from the X-Men movies. That's how I know the character, because every X-Men book I've ever read has put me to sleep. And I know I'll probably draw a lot of hate from that, but there's a lot of movies that put me to sleep. So
our 3 viewers are going to hate you, Jim.
I know. Right.
Well, 2 viewers because Brian's
here.
Thanos
he's living it. He's living the dream. So. Yeah. Nice. So, I mean, I don't have any specific storyline of Magneto that I can tell you about. I just know his backstory, and I like that character. And I've tried to read him a couple times. Or try to read X-Men, and then I just fall off.
Yeah. Pretty
quickly.
All right. Thanos, number 6.
Oh, I got to figure out his name. I'll figure it out later. My number 6 would be any of the 3 Jokers or Joker from Batman '89.
I'm with you on Joker from Batman.
The movie Joker from Batman '89. Yeah, Nicholson is Joker.
The 3 Jokers from the Jeff Johns run.
Yeah, the 3 Joker storyline that also directly connects into the Joker from Killing Joke, but
yeah. So I'm the odd man out here that's not the biggest fan of the Nicholson Joker. Huh?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be. We get it. You're much trendier than we are.
Yeah, you know me. That's funny.
Cool.
The
All right.
farmer in Iowa.
My wife's number 5 for me is Hulk, and that is not my number 5. My number 5 is Tim Drake as Robin. What I like about Tim Drake as Robin, not so much anymore, but initially, is he was the only one who wanted to be Robin. When he became Robin, it was you have to take me on as your sidekick, Batman. Basically, it's how it went. It wasn't Batman taking him in to rescue him. And just the fact that he's so much smarter than everybody else, I love that part of it too. So he is my number 5.
Nice. No high five.
Oh man,
Dropping them.
that's so lame. I love it.
So question about Tim Drake. Did
Yes.
you read the Robin and Batman mini that they did? I think it was 3 issues. That was
The Jeff Lemire.
The very recent one?
Yeah, the recent one.
No, I've got it. I just haven't read it.
You think about the Jeff Lemire run right there? Batman, Robin and Batman.
I don't think it was Jeff Lemire. This was recent. I don't even know if it came out in a trade or a hardback version. It was 3 issues, and the villain in it was Killer Croc.
I mean, I haven't read it yet, but that was
Yeah, that was a couple years ago, right?
No, it was just within the last year.
Oh,
well, that's man. That one.
I know there's a Robin v Batman that's out right now, but
That's coming. Yeah, I don't think that actually released yet. Let's see, when did it come out, or what was it? Looking at my list. Hold on, because I got all of them. Yeah, it was Robin and Batman is what it was called.
uh-huh.
And it was just a 3-issue run.
That's Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
That's Jeff Lemire.
Dustin Nguyen on art.
We're doing live research.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jim's just happy he knew some facts about a comic book.
Well, I mean, it's the only Robin and Batman book I know of. So
Yeah.
that just came out. I mean, this one just showed up last month.
Because it uses the and symbol, not the word and.
Nice.
Good thing I don't care if they're in. So, like this?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I've got those. I think I read the first issue, and I didn't read the last 2.
That is a fantastic read.
Yeah.
I highly, highly enjoyed it. It gave a lot of perspective for Tim Drake and why he was who he was to me that I haven't read before. So
right.
Very, very good book.
Anything else? I wouldn't expect anything else from Lemire.
So okay, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, your wife's number 5.
My number 5 for my wife was Shazam, and she's spot on.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow.
Number 5 is Shazam. I really enjoy the kid becoming a superhero.
Right.
Have I read a whole lot? I've read Jeff Johns' runs. Haven't read much more than that, but I really enjoy that. I enjoy the aspect of the family. I enjoy the movie. It just makes me feel good knowing that there's a kid out there that becomes a superhero.
Cool.
So, and I like Lemire's take on it in Black Hammer. Got to just mention.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it for sure.
All right, Thanos, you're up.
Well, funny enough, Lemire wrote my number 5 too.
This is on fire.
He's the king of the F-bombs. Little pig, let me in. He was not written by Lemire. It's Negan.
See, that's so cool. I can't get my hopes up like that and then crush him.
And then I just took a bat and just went.
Negan's great.
I've never even heard of this guy. I've heard of him. I had started actually reading the when they went to color. I started pulling all the comics, and then I think I told Steve I got to 20 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
like it just started feeling like This Is Us to me with zombies. It's just like, is there ever going to be not a problem?
No.
So,
well, no, I mean real life is that way. So if you pulled up through 20, then you should go pull your number 19 and look at the letter hacks, because right here on this page, going around to the back, is me and my buddy Tom in letter hacks of Walking Dead Deluxe number 19.
Nice.
19.
Nice. My wife's number 4 for me, Deadpool. Not in my top 10. My number 4 is Laura Kinney. X-23, all new Wolverine, whatever you want to call her. Just love her character a lot. I like her better than I like Logan. Of all the legacy characters, she feels like the only one to me that'll still be relevant 20 years from now. Yeah, just all her.
I'm gonna have to read something from her.
I like her a lot. That's my number 4.
My number 4, again, I'm just going to say it, my wife got right as well, which is Scarlet Witch. And this is purely the MCU version.
Right.
All right, because I've had a very hard time reading anything of her in the comics.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to know your thoughts on Scarlet Witch, because she, like, kicked Thanos' butt. Actually, her exchange with Thanos is what turned me into a fan of hers. Yeah. You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. You will. That had me sold on Scarlet Witch. And Thanos, honestly.
So you're talking about the MCU side. So yeah, you have to understand that they do the idea that magic is a different form of power. So magic can beat out, it's like rock, paper, scissors in the MCU. That's the way they're doing it. So he's the non-magical, he's a eternal celestial being. So magic hurts him more. Just like Thor has, science, their version of magic is science to them. So they're able to create things that look scientific, but it's all magic. So that's the aspect for that. That's all hogwash. With that, Scarlet Witch.
I agree with that.
With that, Scarlet Witch is a fantastic character.
She is.
I have her comic Funko Pop cover. I got hers and Vision's when they came out. They were Target exclusives. My biggest gripe is that Vision is Vision's first cover appearance on his pop cover. Scarlet Witch is her and Vision. It's a Scarlet Witch and Vision cover.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those where I'm like, why is it not just her?
Yeah.
Like, she is literally one of the most powerful beings in the MC, in Marvel Comics, just in general. She recreated reality because of her children that weren't real, because she wanted them to be quote unquote alive, that were creations from Mephisto. So, like, she is ridiculously powerful. And to have a being like that, and you then slap her Funko Pop cover on a Scarlet and Vision random book. It really low and dirty for somebody that is that great of a character and is played on the TV and in the movies by such a fantastic actress, and she does it right.
You know, that's funny because I think I've told him that. So I've tried reading Scarlet Witch, like I've told you. Not a huge fan of reading her. I'm not the biggest fan of Elizabeth Olsen, and I mean I haven't watched her in anything else really, but she seems kind of odd to me at times. Put her in that character, and
she's an Olsen. That's why
it's unbelievable. So
you should try reading the series where she's remade reality.
House of M.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I've read the first comic in that or two, something like that. But, and I'll get there. I'm pretty slow.
Cool. So your number 4, Brian?
My number 4 kind of goes right with House of M in his own. And he happens to be the toy holding Thanos' skull and spine. It's Dr. Doom.
Nice.
Yeah. So, talking Secret Wars, which Dr. Doom, God Doom, do you prefer? The first one or the second one?
Like it needs to be the 2015.
Yeah.
Nice. Like when they bring it to the screen.
Yeah,
the first version, because it has the Beyonder that they've not ever introduced. Which, granted, he wasn't actually introduced until the second Secret Wars.
Right.
But because of how they did the whole battle world and everything with that one, it needs to be a story that is more believable with the way that the MCU is going. And
Sure.
I think it's going to probably revolve around the Infinity Stones in some way, to be honest. So they're going to have to figure out how to make that happen so that he can become, God Doom.
So I think I've told this story, but Secret Wars 2015 was my first delving into comics. So that's the first thing I read. And I bought everything, all the side books. I started off buying every variant of the titles. And like after the first month, I just had to stop because, it was getting expensive. But that story is my favorite of all time. And I need to go back and read it again to see if it still feels the same to me. But yeah, that was my first dive into comics. And the scene I remember, because Game of Thrones was big at the time, is it shows, Doom is on his throne and standing next to him is Doctor Strange. And it is a scene straight from Game of Thrones with Littlefinger standing next to, I guess it was, who was on the throne at the time? It doesn't matter. But it's just, it's taken right from that.
Joffrey or...
No, it was the first season.
So it was the king before he got
Baratheon.
Yeah, Baratheon before he got killed by the boar.
Yeah. So it's just taken from that. And it's such a cool scene. But yeah, that whole story, just bringing everybody into one world was great. Just love it. And Doom was fantastic. That's my favorite version of Doom ever.
Okay.
So, my number 3. Or my wife's number 3 for me was Daredevil, so she wasn't far off. My actual number 3 is Captain Britain, Brian Braddock. Great character. I think what I like most about him is
that he has a great name.
Knights of the Round Table stuff, Excalibur, Merlin, all that stuff plays a part in it. Plus, the Captain Britain is the only character in Marvel who is alive in every single version of the multiverse, because he is the protector of the multiverse. He's the protector of the other realms, so of all the realms. So yeah, his version is the same version throughout the multiverse. There's no second version of Captain Britain. There's no variants of him. So love that about him. That's my number 3.
He dies in Secret Wars pretty early too, doesn't he? Isn't he thrown over? He actually jumps over the wall down to the zombies.
And then a new Captain Britain takes his place, and I can't remember who she is. She ends up fighting one of the Thors, and the scene is her with Excalibur chopping the head off of Mjolnir. And it's it's just a great scene.
One of many Mjolnirs.
Yeah. Yeah, from the Thor Corps, from all the Thors. Yeah. So that was my number 3.
All right. My wife's number 3 for me would be Ant-Man. We all know he's coming. He's not number 3. Number 3 for me would be Old Hob from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you read the Turtles, Brian?
I've read some over the years. I actually just recently got back. It's an issue 110 that has the Last Ronin preview, the second preview of Last Ronin, and 6 signatures on it.
Nice.
Goodness. So you're probably ahead of me as far as, because I'm reading it in the hardcover and I'm just buying them as I go. And Old Hob, I liked him right away, but what he's doing now in the story, I love. He's the Magneto of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's a good description of it.
Pretty much what he is. He has doing good things the wrong way, and maybe not even good things, but things.
Well, he's literally
what's that?
Right? Literally a mutant who wants to keep the mutant core, the mutant line pure, and keep the mixed human animal crosses out of the. Don't want to mess up the bloodline, basically. Yeah, he's almost Magneto to it. Yeah, that's a great description.
Yeah, he's. Anyway, I love that cat.
I love that cat.
Have you read Last Ronin?
I've read Last Ronin. Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yeah. No. Me and Steve are in the same spot in the IDW run. Where are we at?
We're in almost at the end of volume 4. How about halfway through volume 4? So we're probably at
volume 5.
Volume 4.
Y'all got into Tenica yet?
Volume 4 was.
I'm right at the Ghostbusters crossover right now.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters crossover where we're at.
Yeah,
which I don't like, which is what has slowed me down considerably.
Right.
I got two comics into that, and I was like, okay, this is rough. But the main story is fantastic.
It is. Yep. Great character.
Right. So number 3 for me would be Green Goblin.
Not the Red Goblin?
No. Hobgoblin would probably be almost as even, just because it's Hobgoblin. Yeah. Right. Not Demogoblin, not Green Goblin 2.
No.
Maybe Iron Patriot, just because it's the same. It's still Green Goblin, just in an Iron Man suit.
Uh-huh.
He is a Dark Avenger after all.
It's a great, he's a good character.
So my boys watch the Spidey and Friends animated show, and the Green Goblin is on that, and just watching him create mischief is so much. He's like littering, and it's so it makes me laugh. I love it.
The terrible things they do.
All right, so we're at number 2, and my wife's number 2 for me is Spider-Man, and she's not far off. But my number 2 is Donatello.
Oh,
this year is my first year getting into the Turtles, and I just love Donatello. Most people say Michelangelo's their favorite turtle he's a very popular one.
I think Raphael is the most popular.
Raphael's very popular. I think people I wish people wish they were like Michelangelo. Just
because he's just carefree,
fun-loving.
Yeah.
Whereas Raphael's just a brute.
Give him
but
some
Donatello, he's just the left-brained, logical, nerdy, scientific.
He's Spock.
Right. He is. And right now, they're at the point where everybody else wants to take care of Shredder. And he's like, well, we got this guy coming from another realm who wants to destroy the Earth. Don't you think we should get on that? He's wanting to terraform everything here. We might want to keep an eye out for him. And everybody else is like, well, we better take care of Shredder. Well, maybe Donatello's right. So, but yeah, that's what I like. I kind of relate to him quite a bit with the way they deal with him. So he's my number 2.
Donatello was my favorite until I actually read the books, and then I fell in love with Mikey.
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife's number 2 for me was Blue Beetle, who is not on my list.
Right.
Number 2 for me would be Ant-Man. And I don't care what version it is. I mean, I prefer Scott Lang, but I really like Hank Pym, and I like Eric O'Grady as well, even though he's kind of a douche. But that's kind of the point of him, I guess. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about that. If you know me, you know I like Ant-Man.
So did you see that scene they showed?
What's
that?
Him beat up.
Yeah. The scene from
Quantumania.
King. From King, right?
I have not seen anything from the Quantum.
Oh, they just had a clip on Twitter.
Yep, no, have not seen it.
Okay. I won't mention it then.
Oh.
He's covered in poop.
Ant-Man, Scott Lang?
No, that's not what it is.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
All right. You're number 2, Brian.
So he killed Thanos.
He killed somebody. He did a boys. Number 2 would be Darth Vader.
That's a great character.
Yeah.
I think I know who number 1 is.
I'll say, I know who your number 1 is, Jim.
I know who Jim's is too.
Yeah, you're wearing him. And neither one of you will guess my number 1.
Yeah. If it's not Thanos, I'm going to be extremely pissed off.
Well, get ready to be mad. Better pissed off than pissed on.
So my number 1, the wife put Ninja Turtles. Just random Ninja Turtles. Of course, Donatello's my number 2, but my number 1 is Spider-Man. Peter Parker, Earth 616 Spider-Man. Not Ultimate Peter Parker, not any other Peter Parker, just the Earth 616 main continuity Peter Parker. Love the character. He's a good guy. I don't like him in the What If. I don't like him in the when he's a dark version of him. Just give me good Peter Parker, who I like him because I feel that he's one of maybe 3 comic book characters who, even without powers, would still be trying to help people.
So my first experience with Peter Parker was the Spider-Man movie, the first one. That's what it was called, Spider-Man?
Yes.
Anyway, and it really blew me away. I still love that movie. I know some people love The Amazing Spider-Man after that. I didn't care much for those, but...
Oh, so you're talking about Tobey Maguire, not the one from
the
70s.
I'm talking about the Tobey Maguire.
Okay, just checking.
Because I don't have a whole lot of experience with Spider-Man.
Right.
So I did try...
You're not Mary Jane, so I would expect not.
Well, you just want to take stuff a little further, don't you? Yep. Now I lost my train of thought.
You lost your train of thought. That was your first experience with Peter Parker. Was the first movie.
Yes. Yeah, and I loved the goodness of the character.
Yeah, I mean that's why Superman, he's not on my list, but same thing. I feel like Clark Kent would try to be helping people, and even Captain America, also not on my list. But I think I think those 3 are the ones who are Steve Rogers, who are good, even if they didn't have their powers, they would still be figuring out a way to help people.
And I imagine the hardest to write.
Look at What If. What If is a good example of that for Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
he becomes he becomes the essentially Ironmonger to help out Captain Carter.
Right.
Okay, so obviously my number 1 is Booster Gold.
No.
And
we didn't see that coming.
And the main
luckily
reason,
I have Skeeter.
The main reason being, I see so much potential with this character. I haven't read a whole lot of great stuff. Jeff Johns' run was really good. Even the first run started off great, but it was early '80s, so it's or '86. It gets a little wordy. I don't understand why they don't do more with this character, and because the story is to be there. I mean, Jeff Johns did a great when he was writing him. That was a fantastic story, and they could still be doing stories like that. Put them back in other famous scenes, and it was a lot of fun. So
Well, I've told you, Jim, my favorite of his is actually in Justice League Unlimited, and it's actually my favorite episode of Justice League Unlimited, and that's the greatest story never told.
yes,
It's such a great episode, and it shows him for who he could be if they wrote him like that.
And who he is. I mean,
who he is at heart. Sure.
I think it's almost the everyman hero. Who doesn't look to benefit in their life?
Right.
I mean, taking advantage of people is one thing, but everyone looks to make money, and he just took it to the extreme.
He's basically Hercule.
Who?
He's a Dragon Ball Z character.
Hey, you went to 9,000 on that one, Steve.
Sorry. All right. So what do you got for number one, Brian?
All right. So my number one is very similar to Jim's number one in that it's like a members only jacket because there's only one member, just like Jim's the only member of the Booster Gold Club.
Oh no.
So I waited until the number one to switch to heroes. And my number one is Resurrection Man from DC.
Never heard of him.
Resurrection Man. Yeah, I haven't either.
He is a literally no-name hero that his power is he doesn't truly die. You kill him, he comes back to life, and he has a different superpower every time he comes back to life, and he never has that superpower again after he dies.
It'd be interesting if that was his only superpower. And then, it just takes him 30 times to beat a bad guy. He has to keep resurrecting and go back and fight him. Kill me again. Resurrect. Go back.
Well, no. So there was one issue where he actually got teamed up with, not by his own choice, with an assassin. And the assassin was like, oh, so your power is that you die, and when you come back, you have a different superpower? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, what's your superpower now? And he tells him, he's like, well, that's lame. Shoots him in the head. He comes back. He's like, what's your power now? He goes, nope, doesn't help. And it literally goes through like 2 pages of him just like shooting the dude in the head until he finally has a power that works, and they continue on and finish the rest of the story.
So I guess if he ever got the power, I guess if his superpower was ever that he couldn't die, that would be the one he'd be stuck with forever.
Well, so he already does. He kind of has that. But
right, he resurrects. But if he could never,
yeah, it's almost like a Groundhog Day, but he continues on with regular days. He just has a different power every time he comes back alive. So yeah, he had a single run in the 90s that was like 25, 27 books, and then when they did New 52, they brought him back, and he had like 13 books in that run. There was 13 in an annual. And there was like a million issue and a zero, and yeah. So and then they pretty much just did away with him because
who wrote that miniseries or that series?
No clue off the top of my head.
No clue.
That's
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up too. That sounds like something I'd like. It does.
Yeah, the first issue, the number one, is a giant skull, and the eyeball is another skull with it's like a sticker that's on it. And it's a refractable, almost like a lithogram. And so you see the skull, and it's like somebody another skull screaming on the inside.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's our top 10 comic book characters. Anything else to add? Any honorable mentions, or are we good to go with those 10?
Buddy Baker, Animal Man. I'm really enjoying that character.
Nice.
If I find more issues, he might be a favorite.
Tala and Hatok. I can't remember the other brother's name from We Live. The two main protagonists from We Live, the heroes in the We Live season 1.
Nice. Well, we're at an hour and 45. Holy cow!
So, you're welcome.
We're doing 3 top 10s in one episode.
I know. Plus 4. Actually 4. Actually 5. You count my wife, your wife, Brian, and you count his.
My wife is the only one trying to save time.
Yeah. Right. So So that is going to do it for us tonight then. Thanks, Brian, so much for coming on, talking with us. It was fun. Yes. What do you got there? 9.8?
9.4.
9.4. That's exactly what I got. I got 9.4.
With Ruby and terrible chicken scratch from Frank Miller.
Nice. That's a great cover.
Yeah,
great
I
cover.
saw yours on one of the other ones, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to show him that.
Yeah, that's nice. Hashtag one up.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that.
How'd you know?
That's awesome. Next week, we're looking at. Actually, before I get to that, let me say this Thursday. So this will go out tomorrow. So the next night, Thursday night,
takes to download.
Lost in Comics is going to be doing their monthly live show. Check them out. I'm sure both of you who are still awake will be checking it out anyway. It's going to be good to have them back on live. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss it because we are going to be having company. I'm going to have to catch it on the replay, which sucks. But what are you going to do? And then the following week, we are going to have a very special guest. We are going to have Chris from Lost in Comics himself. And we are going to get all Loster in Comics. So really, really looking forward to that. Anything you want to add to the show, Brian? Anything before we head out?
Yeah, he's got some big shoes to fill.
He does.
About an hour and 45 minutes worth.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to have David to make fun of, so it'll go.
Well, that's not true. David's always able to make fun of.
That's right. Cool. But thanks again, Jim. Anything to add before we close out here?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey,
yeah.
No problem.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man.
We'll have you on again for sure.
Interesting. So,
all right. Well, everybody take it easy. Thanks for watching Midlife Vices, Episode 5, and join us next week. Take care.